Let me go ahead and get started. The other thing I was thinking about is that, how much time do we want to spend in terms of debating the pros and cons of each of the candidates? And I think that might be premature at this point until we've had a chance to interview them. So, I don't want to tell anybody they can't talk about it. Anybody they'd like to, of course they can. But in terms of, who's your favorite, I'm not sure that's appropriate at this point in time until we've had a chance to do the actual interviewing. So let me go through my listing here first.
Point of process. I was just going to ask you a question about what you just said.
Go ahead.
So just so I understand the process we're about to embark on, because the last thing you said was, I don't think it's appropriate to, what did you say?
Well, I don't think it's appropriate to debate the qualifications of individual candidates at this point. That's all I was saying.
So just to add some color to that, my goal of this conversation is to get a sense of your perspective on why you're ranking the way you are, and get the qualitative understanding behind that ranking. Because you can see that I'm the only category without any X's in it right now so far.
And I think that's certainly legitimate. I think we're all going to talk about the process that we went through as we looked at the candidates and go from there. So I'll go ahead and start off. The way I handled the review was to identify the skill set attributes that were important to me, and those attributes included government experience, town manager experience, strong budget experience, intergovernmental relations experience, infrastructure experience, Florida experience, and coastal town experience. I put those attributes into a matrix. I had to because I'm an engineer and we like Excel spreadsheets and matrices and that kind of thing, so I did that. What I found was that none of the candidates hit all the marks, but my selections hit most of the marks. I wanted to talk just for a second about soft skills because you can't really get a whole lot from a resume about soft skills. The Avatar test that gives us some insight into that. I think the interviewing process will hopefully provide the basis for evaluating critical soft skills. You'll be able to see how the person interacts, because I think you all noticed the questions that we got from the residents were mostly soft skill questions about how they deal with the residents and that kind of thing. So I think it's hard, well, I don't think it's possible to look at a resume and evaluate soft skills. That's really part of the interview process. So based on that, I got a little matrix. I don't think anybody wants to see my sloppy handwriting, but there it is. And I came to the conclusion that the 4 candidates that I'd like to interview are Ken Chacon, and I hope I don't mispronounce these names, Matthew Hammond, Mark Cutney, and Christopher Russo. And that's, that information has already been passed on to April. I don't know if you've passed it on to Donna yet, or you're waiting till everybody's are in.
I passed it to Donna.
Okay. So that's what I looked at, and I'll go ahead and pass it over to Vice Mayor Kurzman, and you can talk to us about your review.
Yeah, it's a different direction. I pretty much, I know a lot of people are concerned mainly about the finance, but I feel a strong finance director could help offset that. I know Excel skills are important to some of us, but somebody like myself, I don't even know how to do an Excel spreadsheet. I have to learn how to do it. I'd have to get sent out to a class. Right now, if I want to get an Excel spreadsheet done, I'll make a call or talk to one of my associates or my employees. I need you to run this in Excel. And it's that easy. And I have an Excel spreadsheet for me in a matter of a couple of minutes, if requested. So I'd hate to see that lose a good potential manager because of Excel. And, a finance director is very important, a strong finance director. I think that could offset the weakness of a seasoned manager. I think it's also important, especially when we're talking, it could be upwards of $10 million in grants we still need. I think it's important to have connections in Tallahassee and somebody that could fight for every penny for this town. That's pretty important. those were like the two key things that I was looking for, and I did make some calls to some of the towns where some of these people have worked, and I've spoke to different individuals. Anybody who was willing to answered me honestly, and they told me if somebody's competent or not competent. And the people, I chose Christopher Russo, just not just on his resume alone, but if you call where he used to work, the man's beloved, and he's accomplished a lot, so I checked him off. And I also checked off Robert Daniels. It's one of those things, it was like nobody gave me a good reason why he was let go or not let go, but everybody says he did a good job while he was there. So I feel the guy came from a town similar to ours, except on the West Coast. Both him and Christopher Russo went through the water issues, raising roads, water retention, similar to what we went through. I actually called the candidates as well, and they explained their background. They're both experienced in what our needs are. Their weaknesses are the Excel sheet, obviously, but I feel their track record, and one of the things I was really impressed with Christopher Russo was he was there twice. What happened was, when he was there the first time, everybody was happy. He changed the town that he was working in over in Miami. The place when he came in was just a horrible, crime-ridden, horrible place to go. You didn't feel safe, and he implemented a lot of different things, got a lot of grant money, and suddenly it became a desirable place to live. So it went from buildings that were worthless to $1 to $2 million, $3 million condos. And it said a lot, and he really cared about the community. He still lives there. And he's willing to move right over here on Hutchinson Island. He has relatives here, and he's on his second family, he explained, and he wants to put his kids in a good school system. And overall, I mean, and then what happened also, after they basically didn't want to pay him the money he wanted, after, I think it was 2000, I'm trying to remember the exact date, it was 2005, he was gone for 5 years, and they fired 5 town managers in 5 years, and they got him back, they gave him the money he wanted, and the town flourished even more. He reduced the tax rate. Each year of the first 5 years he was there, the tax rate went down, not up. And he's done an excellent job, and what he's done is legendary in their opinion. So he would be a real winner. He's willing to take less. How much less, I can't answer. I think that would be maybe a little bit higher than what we're looking to pay, but he's not looking for benefits with his family. I also spoke with Robert Daniel, and Robert Daniels, same thing. He's familiar with getting grants. He has a law enforcement background. He seems like a very straight shooter kind of person. He seems very friendly, could be a very outgoing person. He's done well with obtaining grants, and I feel that's the direction we should go, along with a strong finance director. I think that would satisfy all ends. And the other gentleman, what's that?
You called them?
Yeah, I called him over the week. The ones that answered the phone.
How many did you speak with?
I spoke with 2 that really interested me. The other person, Mark Cutney, I want to withdraw my little X there.
You want to withdraw?
Yeah, I would like to. I saw something when I did further research I wasn't comfortable with, where he made a purchase without the permission of the commission, and they asked him to leave. So I wasn't comfortable with that when I saw that. So
Did you have two other candidates that you want to interview, Vice Mayor?
Not right now.
Okay. Commissioner Campo,
I really have nothing to say.
Can I ask you a question?
do you have any, would you like to let us in on the four candidates you'd like to interview?
Well, I said early on that I was not going to hire someone that didn't have prior manager experience, and I see that that's being considered, which blows me away, by a person that has said on the cover letter he won't settle for the salary that we're offering. So I'm confused on that.
Who was that?
Matthew Hammond.
Really?
And I think Lynn Ladner deserves consideration because of her accreditation and candidly because she's a woman. And I think that this town has been well served by women in the past, and I think our chief and our clerk have done a great job, and I thought the tie went to her because I thought she had good prior experience and was credentialed.
So are you, what are your selections for the,
I'm willing to go along with my fellow commissioners if you have a desire to go for 3 and 4, but I think the two that I've selected were head and shoulders above the others.
and you selected Lynn Ladner and?
Are you looking at the screen?
Okay. So you don't want to go any more than just the two?
Right.
Okay. All right, Commissioner Fender?
Skip me for just a sec. Pass it for now. I'll come back. Can I come back after Kaya, or does it really matter what order you go in?
That'd be fine.
I can't.
Commissioner Mayfield, go ahead.
Excuse me, clearing my throat a lot. I apologize. I read through all the candidates that were the finalists. I read through all the candidates that weren't. Looked everybody up on the internet, whatever I could find, and made a list of pros and cons, and went from there. I value, put a high value on Florida experience, preferably coastal and or local, and that goes along with knowledge of Florida laws, Florida government, the connections, intergovernmental, relations. I also put some value on job longevity. I think that can speak to what a lot of the residents were inquiring about in terms of what the mayor called soft skills. Is that what you call them? I think that someone who can hold down the job of a town manager or leader for a long time knows how to has some people skills for sure. One of the candidates I chose, I think that was the one Commissioner Campo referred to that didn't have the town manager experience, was excelling in other areas that I thought were definitely could be worthwhile to the town, particularly the engineering, and clearly did very well in the HR avatar. And I thought, Commissioner Campo, I thought you wanted to interview like 5 people or something? Wasn't that what?
I'm open to interviewing as many as 4.
Okay. I thought you were kind of set on, we should interview more than that.
I'm open, I'm open to that, but I just felt strongly about those 2. So
Okay.
I'm not against.
Okay, I'm not against that. Okay. Anyway, so that is why I chose the 4 people that I did.
Okay, anything else, or?
You guys can, I'm open to, if there's something you want to know, but like I said, it was the Florida, some of the candidates were qualified but didn't have a lot of Florida experience, the longevity, if they didn't have those things, other areas that they could add to. I believe, one of the candidates on there has a lot of Florida state experience, and I think that could be helpful. So that's why in an effort to interview, more than 1 or 2, I thought it would be helpful. These candidates can bring stuff to the table. And the one who was, made, and I appreciate that he wrote his salary expectations. I think that's very helpful. But that goes along with where I had stood before, that the salary that we put in, I had thought should be higher anyway. So that is why I chose him.
Okay, Commissioner Fender?
So, quick question, James. You put forth a desire for Kent Chacon last time, but I see he's not on your selected list. What drove you away from that?
Just further investigation,
Anything specific?
I'd rather not say.
Oh, well, okay.
I mean, we're in a public meeting. HR is a difficult, I'm not going to say anything negative. I think all 8 would be great candidates.
Okay. So you can make my X's now if you want.
Drum roll, please.
I will, I'm glad we talked and I waited, so I'm going to not go in any specific order. I'm just going to go top to bottom. But you can mark me for Ladner, Chacon, and a half, 0.5 mark, half an X for Brooks. If you can give me his Excel spreadsheet, I will add the other X, the other slash to Brooks, and I will only do 3.
Okay, Ladner, Chacon, who was the third one?
Brooks.
Half of a Brooks, a slash instead of an X on Brooks. There you go.
It's like bowling, where you get a spare or a strike.
Spare, that's right.
So you're,
Now,
So who's-
I missed the paragraph from Hammond. I would have chosen Hammond, but thank you for enlightening me on that, because that's a deal breaker for me. There you go. And I see everybody's chosen Russo, but just my weird quantitative mind can't select someone who's got the lowest scores possible, so, of the group, not possible.
All right, so Russo's, okay.
Russo's not on my list, although maybe he'll be dandy, but just, it doesn't meet my criteria, and that's okay. I mean, like I said, I'm pretty flexible, and I'll be happy to interview everybody that the team decides should be interviewed, so.
Okay, so it looks like, I'm sorry, do you have any further comments?
That's all I got.
All right. So it looks like if we're talking the top 4 would be Christopher Russo, Ken Chacon, and Matthew Hammond, and Lynn Ladner. Did I read this correctly?
I believe so.
Y-
Yeah,
yes.
that's
Okay,
the
so
way I
those-
read it.
So those are the 4, and I guess we'll go ahead and pass those on to Donna.
Actually, could I add one more? I apologize. I'm going to add an X to Mr. White.
To Mr. White.
Please add an X for me for Mr. White.
you're getting good at this.
Yeah.
You're getting good at this. Okay, it sounds like a good 4 to me.
Okay. All right, now I guess I'm trying to remember, Dan, were the interviews like June 1st and 2nd or thereabouts?
Yeah, June 1st and 2nd, the way it's set up tentatively, the way Mercer has it set up tentatively is the first afternoon on the 1st would be basically for the candidates' benefit. We'll be like taking them around town. And then about this time of day, then we'll have a meet and greet where the candidates may be there, the commissioners may be there, public will be invited. So it'll be a casual, informal kind of a setting. I haven't thought yet about where to have it or how to set it up. I'm thinking maybe of doing the tent like we did for the ribbon cutting, so, and having some refreshments out.
That'll guarantee that it rains, is that the idea?
So that would be the first day, and then the second day, then you would have individual interviews, you would have private one-on-one interviews throughout the course of the day, and I think the way it's set up, there'll be 4, so Donna will have to work the details of the schedule, and then at 5:30 you would come together to make a decision. Right now, I don't think we have on the schedule public interviews, but if you want to put that in, we can certainly move that in, so.
Commissioner Fender?
So one more question going back to the candidate selection. I noticed you had an asterisk next to Russo saying that they took the wrong test or something?
Yeah, and that was my fault. But when we first started doing the HR avatar, I was confused about which test it should, and then I learned that it was...
Unfortunately, Russo, who's loved by all, also has the lowest average score, and I wonder if whatever test you gave them impacted that score.
I'm sure it did. It's a completely different test.
That's why I
It's
threw
a
it out.
different test.
I threw the score out in my own mind
Yeah,
when I saw that
Well,
answer.
yeah, but I would like to know the score, so.
yeah. So I'm sure, I'm going to suggest that
Do you know
if
what
he's
test he
being,
took?
it was, I forget the name of it. It was more personality-based, but focusing on leadership skills rather than less on administrative skills. So
Commissioner Mason?
we can suggest to Mr. Russo, obviously, that he take the other tests and we can pay for it. And so,
Commissioner Mayfield?
Are we going to talk about, last time I think we did a form, kind of like we did the poll here. Has Donna said, is that what we're doing after we do the individual interviews, as opposed to just coming and talking about it? After we do the
Form?
in-person interviews, are we going to do the rating thing?
similar to this?
Yes.
I have not heard Donna
Okay.
suggest that at all. I'm sure she can accommodate whatever you would like to do, so. Would
I
you
feel
rather
like it's
do
a good way to get your thoughts on paper and then go from there, as opposed to just, I don't know. Didn't we do that last time?
Thoughts on paper equal public record.
Well, it's just like the number thing. It wasn't thought, it was like, like what we just did. Do you guys remember that? Didn't we do that?
You mean do it like a rating, like a
Did we
1,
do-
2, 3,
yeah.
4?
I can't remember, I'm sure we have that form somewhere.
All right.
If you can find that form, it'll remind me, but I can't
Yeah.
remember exactly.
That was it.
I was able to find the HR Avatar scores from the last time, so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be interesting to talk to these folks. It's, interviewing's a hard thing, and I know I'm going to, develop a list of questions, based on, some of my thoughts as well as what some of the residents have sent in, because there were some good questions that came in.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see how they handle them, and I think the meet and greet is the best way to do, work with the public on this, because I don't see that public interviewing process, how that would work. That could be pretty long and pretty painful.
Well, when I said public, I was just talking about interviewing the candidates. I wasn't talking about the public interviewing the candidates, so.
Okay. Commissioner Campo?
On the questions, last time we were warned, and probably Donna's going to tell us the same thing, that it's important that we ask each candidate the same exact question. And what we had done is maybe we put together 2 or 3 questions and went in a cycle so that Donna knew that they weren't redundant with one another and that we were consistent so that we weren't asking, some candidates.
Did each commissioner ask the same questions or different questions?
I think the same questions. It was a little strange asking the same question with empathy and feeling when you had said it the third time, but maybe if we wanted to take the 2 or 3 questions that we thought were important for that process and either run it by Dan or Donna, they could help us, standardize that process. Does that make sense?
Okay.
And the other thing is, I really think we need to nail down this salary thing. I thought that we were pretty much on the same page, but that got a little slippery last time.
Commissioner Fender?
So I see from our matrix that we selected the 4 with the highest average X category, which was a 4, a 3, and 2 2s, correct? If Mr. Brooks comes forward with an Excel spreadsheet that gets him, in line because he had the highest other quantitative score, would you consider a 5th, or perhaps by that time, one might drop based on some of the data that you provided? I feel like we should give Mr. Brooks a chance. And I'm not passionate about it. I'm just saying that in line with the ask all the questions the same to all the candidates, I feel like this is the reason why this candidate does not have a 2 and the other 2s got selected is that I'm not giving him a full X, and I'm not going to give him a full X until he takes the Excel test. The
Well,
question then is,
I think we agreed on 4. Obviously, if one of them drops out and he finishes the he submits the
I'm just
test
asking.
and you're okay with it, that'd be okay with me. I don't have a big problem with that, but I wouldn't add them right now.
I agree.
Vice Mayor Kurzman?
Yes, we're going back, and I agree with what you said earlier, James. We need somebody with town manager experience. If you were looking at just the finance directors, I mean, think of the last few finance directors we had. Would you be comfortable with starting back with, I guess when Pam Walker was here, her finance director, all the way through even our intern? Would you make them our town manager if they scored perfect on the HR avatar?
No.
Okay, you answered my question. You
I
don't,
don't understand your question.
because you're looking at a finance director with no managerial experience, and they've never run a town before, some of these people that are on here.
I think he's going to be a runner-up, is what the mayor suggested, right? So we're going to go with the 4, because,
Right,
I mean, we've got to draw the line. I mean, we got to move this ball forward. We've got 8, to move
Well,
8 to
honestly,
5.
I agree with you. Now, it does look like a runner-up now that I look at it that way. I mean, I'm not putting a campaign for him. I'm just saying, I'm just going by the way you made your selection and asking.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we get this one right, that's all. I mean,
You're not going to. but-
as long as you tell me, at least we know. No, I'm just saying, though, please
There's
understand.
no way to do it.
My experience in this, and we've hired a lot of people over the years, if you're hitting the 70-75% mark, you're a superstar, and more like 50%, unfortunately, because no matter how good somebody interviews, or no matter how good their credentials are, you don't know what you're getting until they walk through the door.
Absolutely.
So-
And after a year, by the way.
And after a year, that's right. Commissioner Mayfield?
Yes. You guys seem pretty set on 4, and that's what we agreed on, but I will say we are 5, and if we're doing one-on-one interviews, in theory, it's not that hard to add one more person, since we'll have that time where we're just sitting there, so if I don't know.
If that's the,
I'm
the
not-
will of the commission, I'm okay with it. If that's what you like to do, we can add Mr. Brooks, or you still want to wait?
No.
I mean, I guess there's a
don't wanna
background.
have Mr. Brooks until he finishes his Excel test.
I mean, honestly, if you feel that way, because it would be tied with the other, so I think it's up to you, yes. You make you add or don't
I'm not
add.
adding.
Okay,
Okay, so we're good with the 4 then.
I'm okay with 4, but I would like to see his test to include him. I'm just saying, he's excluded right now because of that.
right, I just think he should get the full weight of your, meaning if he turned it in, you know what I'm saying?
I'm okay, that's what I'm saying, I'm okay with adding him. The more the merrier in my mind. I'd like to meet them in person. And I feel like I have a little bit through my process, which is a little different than your process.
This is like when you go to the Realtor and you look at like 3 homes and 4 homes and 5 homes, and they all start. So I think we need to,
But when I go to that 6 home,
We-
I know immediately.
we need to call down the herd.
Yeah,
Okey dokey.
We could just have someone drop out.
yeah, I think so, by
You
the
know?
way.
If they haven't dropped out now, they're not going to.
Well, why wouldn't Hammond drop out now?
Okay.
You're going to argue for more salary. By then.
All right, any other staff comments? Mr.
Not
Hudson?
this evening.
Okay, any other commission comments?
Love the.
You know what, I'm just thought of something relevant to say, since, there's been a lot of talk about salary, and you're talking about the one who has, like I said, at least he kind of said what he wanted, but, I believe one of the other final candidates was making significantly more, so that is also going to be, and I believe it was said that they're willing to step down, but that's also going to be a point of, maybe not, but I just want you guys to think about that.
And I think that, I'm trying to recall the conversation we had at the last meeting with Glenn about he was going to give us kind of a draft contract with all the pieces, and Dan, if you could get with him and let's see what that looks like. I think the salary, we're going to gnash our teeth on salaries for a while, at least until we see what the candidates' expertise, level of experience is, that kind of thing, and see if it warrants anything, over the minimum that we've been talking about. I don't think you can necessarily make that kind of a judgment right now. But if we get if that's the only part that we're banging our heads in at the end, we should be pretty happy about it.
That is on the schedule for next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday, okay, that's what I was thinking. Commissioner Fender.
I will say this to your point, Kaya, that Hammond was one of my top picks. He's not, I don't have an X next to his name, but I'm glad he's on the list, because I would consider him, but I feel like I don't want to hire somebody who's not motivated by the salary we provide. And now, maybe the way he worded his paragraph was a little generic. He didn't really tell me what his specific requirement was, but, he'd have to convince me that if we offer him the job, that he's going to be excited to get it at, whatever salary we're going to negotiate, I guess. I'm worried about heading down that path, right? But, I mean, you're going to have a line. I assume you have a line somewhere, too.
Yeah, I mean, I've been very clear. I think the position that I have what I believe that the position is worth. And
Is that still within his requirement?
I have no idea what, he didn't
That's
give,
my-
he
that's
didn't
my
give a
point.
requirement, but he did say more than was
Okay.
on the original
But
thing.
now I don't know. He's going to have to be very specific.
I just don't want to let,
Yeah.
lose out on a good one.
Yes. I know there might be a few candidates that are going to say, I'm going to pass on my health insurance. Do we pay the entire health insurance for a town manager for their whole family, or just for the individual?
They're entitled to the same program as everybody else.
Same policy as
So it'd be-
everyone else is the best way to describe it.
It's the entire family, so you could be...
Well, it's a complicated formula, so it has to be rated on an individual, and you don't really want to have that probably part of your negotiations.
Yeah, I know that there's at least one candidate I know that already has health insurance that would pass on it, and I think they would try and use that.
Let them.
Could be,
Yeah.
yeah,
This is their time to shine.
Yes.
yeah.
Okay,
So
any
I'll-
other,
Sorry? Donna has had a number of conversations with these individuals, and I've heard comments, talk to Donna. She may be able to answer some of those questions about what people are making now and why they're saying things they're saying, so.
and I think she also stated pretty specifically that she talked to all the candidates and they were okay with the salaries we were discussing.
I need to be excited about it.
Well,
You're not going to get it.
we surely like them to be
I know a few
excited
people
about
who's
it.
very excited.
You want someone that has get a 96 on an Excel spreadsheet and gets excited?
That's right.
The opposite, those are two totally opposite sides of the,
Exactly right.
I hire
Skill
people every
chart.
day.
Do we sing happy birthday now?
Yes.
happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you,
Much.
happy birthday, dear Frank Bender, happy birthday to you.
Yay.
Thanks so much.
Okay, any other comments? I have a motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.
We're adjourned.
Go to McDonald's and get your 10% off your coffee now that you're a senior citizen.
Unfortunately, I've been giving that 10% for a while. All right, y'all. When's the next thing? When's our next milestone?
Next meeting next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday?
Yeah,
Yeah.
a regular meeting.
Damn it. Okay. All right, y'all.
Have a good one. Enjoy the rest of it.